course, okay. I am also learning Bhakti Shastri, and I want to share this knowledge, whatever I have learned through Srila Prabhupada's books. And it's also helping me because I will also read the books more thoroughly and with an intention to apply. So, in Bhakti Shastri, there are four books that we are going to cover: Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, not the whole Nectar of Devotion, only the first few chapters of Nectar of Devotion. I think it's still chapter 17. Then we will have Bhagavad Gita, we'll cover the whole Bhagavad Gita. And then the next book we'll cover is Ishopanishad. So today we are going to start with Nectar of Instruction. Prabhupada wanted us to read his books like regularly and scrutinizingly, so that this Bhakti Shastri course will help us in that regard, so that we'll look at the purports of Srila Prabhupada and the verses little bit more closely. And it'll also, so the purpose of Bhakti Shastri is not to just get academic knowledge and like a certification, but the main thing is that by reading and hearing from Srila Prabhupada's purports, then it will result in purification of heart, and we'll be able to also preach nicely. When somebody will ask us questions, then we'll be able to give shastric references. We'll be able to understand. Um, we'll be able to apply this knowledge in our life nicely, and also when we have to preach, then we will be able to answer the questions from a shastric point of view. And also it helps us to understand the mood of Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada said that I poured out my heart in my books. So if you want to know me, you should read my books. So this is and the ultimate purpose is that we apply this instruction so that we can actually get purified in our heart. So that we can go back home, back to Godhead, we can develop love for Krishna. So we'll start with Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction is called Updeshamrita. In Sanskrit, nectar means Amrit and instruction means Updesh. So this is called Updeshamrita. It's nectar of instruction because by this instruction, we can actually experience the nectar. But if we follow these instructions, we can experience the nectar of Krishna consciousness. So we all want nectar in our life. We all want happiness in our life. So the real nectar, as the Shastras describe, is the nectar of serving Krishna, establishing a relationship with Krishna. And so this book is supposed to uh, this book is supposed to change our consciousness. So I don't know if Preeti is asking if she can join, but is she not? Um, if link is in the group. Okay, so following this, if you follow these instructions that are given in the Nectar of Instruction, Updeshamrita, then we'll be able to taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness, and you'll get the taste of Krishna consciousness. This will change our consciousness if we follow the guidelines. So, okay. It's joining, I don't know. 1 minute. Today is first time, so I have to see who is joining. Mukunda Sharma. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 8 instructions in his Sikshashtakam on how to chant the holy name. That also goes from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha means preliminary faith, and then how that preliminary faith develops into love of Krishna is also the flow of Sikshashtakam, the 8 verses. And in this Nectar of Instruction, we have 11 verses, which also Bhaktivinoda Thakur says how it takes us from Shraddha to Prema. We'll see that as we go along. So how we should act in our life, um, how we should behave with devotees. There are devotees at different levels. How we should, what are the things that are favorable for spiritual advancement? What are the things that are not favorable for spiritual advancement? So, our actions affect our consciousness. Like whatever we do affects our consciousness. So, if we act in a certain way, if we act in a good way, we feel good. If we act in a bad way, we feel bad. So, how to mold our actions ultimately, following these instructions, keeping these instructions in mind, how we can mold our actions so that we can change our consciousness ultimately. And in what consciousness should we perform our actions also? When we perform a favorable action, in what should be the motive? What should be the mindset behind any action that we do? So that also will be discussed in this book. So if we want to relish Krishna consciousness, then we have to change our.
Uh, Sorry to disturb you, Prabhu. Somebody is waiting. Manish Prabhu is
No,
waiting
no,
in the
I
middle.
joined Prabhu. Hare
Okay,
Krishna. I just joined, yeah.
thank you.
So ultimately, we have to change our consciousness. So uh, there are certain do's and don'ts. Certain do's will affect our consciousness in a positive way, and certain don'ts, if we do those, then it will affect our consciousness in a negative way. So if we follow these instructions in our life, and ultimately, as we'll today only go through the preface. Next tomorrow we'll take the first verse, but today we'll only go through the preface. So we will get spiritual happiness if we follow the instructions. I'm just giving like the incentive to study nectar of why should we study this nectar of instruction? Because if we do that and if we apply these instructions, then it will result in a different kind of happiness in our life, and which is we call as spiritual happiness. We all have some glimpse of spiritual happiness. Uh, like when we have chanting or something, we have experienced some spiritual happiness. So but we want more, and we want to relish Krishna consciousness even more. So we have to change certain things in our life to change our inner consciousness, we have to change our inner world. So to do that, this book will talk about what is favorable for attaining spiritual consciousness, what is not favorable, how we should have loving relationship with devotees, because devotees are at different levels, how we should relate with them, that is talked about in this book, how we should behave, right, with devotees at various levels, how we can get taste for chanting, for devotional service. And then it describes all the holy places um, of Lord's pastimes and which is the topmost holy place. So we'll go through the preface. Since this is a small book, we may read the purports and we may read the preface, and then we will understand it a little bit better. So in the preface, I'll read the first statement. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Who is Rupa Goswami? Anybody like to share? If they know, who is this Rupa Goswami? He is the author of this book. Rupa Goswami is the author of this book, uh, Updeshamrita. He is one of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, right? Who were direct disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Rupa Goswami is a great devotee. He is considered as the one who understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya, and he was instructed also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami at um, at Dashashwamedh Ghat at Prayag for 10 days, and Rupa Goswami absorbed the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he understood the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is an incident in Chaitanya Charitamrita which comes where Rupa Goswami is writing a verse. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Rath Yatra, he was looking at Lord Jagannath. and he was feeling separation. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So he's looking at Jagannath on the cart and he's feeling separation. So he's expressing his separation in a verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you are the same Krishna, and I am the same, I am your lover, and we have met here, but it is not the same. So, like that, he expresses his emotion. And then Rupa Goswami composes a verse later on, knowing what Lord Chaitanya was thinking. Though this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, let me pull up the verse. So why I'm saying this is because how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let's see. This is a verse he composes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, so what happens is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Jagannath Puri and he daily comes to visit Rupa Goswami, Haridas Thakur, like that. So one day Rupa Goswami has gone to take on a bath. He has composed a verse and he has put this verse in his hut, on the roof of his hut. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and while Rupa Goswami is away, he looks at this verse which was written on a palm leaf, and then he's looking at the verse and he's saying, oh, he's reading the verse. This is the verse. This is a verse that Rupa Goswami composed. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still I would like to go to the bank of Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So this is a verse. Previously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke this kind of mood he expressed when he saw Jagannath. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radharani in separation from Krishna. So he expressed this kind of mood. And later on, Rupa Goswami, he wrote down this verse. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he knows my heart. How does he know my heart? That I'm feeling that separation from Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understands, Rupa Goswami understands the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so that is why Rupa Goswami is considered, the pioneer of Krishna consciousness movement. So he says Krishna. So I'm sharing my screen. No, let me share my screen. 1 minute. Hopefully you can see my screen. Is it? Can you see the correct screen? Which screen is sharing? Can somebody tell me which screen is?
Yeah, Prabhu, it says preface.
Okay. All right. So Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Who is Rupa Goswami? He is a great devotee of Krishna. He is actually a Manjari in the spiritual world, and he is Rupa Manjari. Manjaris are those who are assistants to the gopis and Radharani in their pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So they assist. So Rupa Goswami is none other than Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world. So all the six Goswamis, they are all Manjaris in the spiritual world, and they have seen Krishna's pastimes. These pastimes of Krishna are revealed in their heart. So Prabhupada actually started the Krishna consciousness movement. But Prabhupada is not saying this Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under my supervision. No, he is saying it is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Because actually Rupa Goswami wrote all the different books. The six Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were given 4 tasks. What are the 4 tasks they were given? Somebody like to share if they know. First is that they
Write,
should write books.
write books and
I think the temples are
Huh?
installed all the temples deities.
Yeah, to build temples for Krishna, to build places of. Third is,
Identify the lost places of Krishna's pastime.
yes, to identify the lost places of Krishna's pastimes and to exemplify the teachings in their personal behavior to show
Yeah.
to everybody how to be a devotee and so like that. So Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami was considered the guru of Vrindavan. He was so exalted. When anybody had any dispute, they would go to Sanatan Goswami. So on Guru Purnima, because Sanatan Goswami liked to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. So on Guru Purnima, in memory, that's the day when Sanatan Goswami appeared. So in the memory of Sanatan Goswami, is it appeared? I think he appeared. Sanatan Goswami, in the memory of Sanatan Goswami, they also circumambulate um, Govardhan Hill on Guru Purnima because he was the Guru. So the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. So personally, Rupa Goswami has given us the direction on how this Krishna consciousness movement should go about. So by his books. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas or Bengali Vaishnavas are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the six Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. So we have six Goswamis. Who are the six Goswamis? Somebody like to share the names of the six Goswamis?
Yeah, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami,
Raghunath Das,
Raghunath Das Goswami, and Gopal Bhatt Goswami,
Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and then
and
Jiva Goswami.
yeah, Jiva Goswami. Yeah.
Jiva Goswami. So Rupa Goswami is considered like the leader of all the Goswamis. And they were direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the six, they learned directly from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, Kabe Hama Bujha Bose Yugala Piriti. So if you want to understand Yugala Piriti, means the loving affairs or the loving pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Narottam Das Thakur says that I have to take shelter of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. Then if I read the books and if I understand, then I will be able to understand Radha Krishna pastimes. Otherwise, I will not be able to. So when I am eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, Akuti means eagerness. When I will have eagerness to understand the literature given by the Goswamis. So this is Updeshamrita is also one of the literature. Rupa Goswami has written so many books. Lalit Madhav, Vidagdha Madhav, Updeshamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He has written so many books, we can't even count. And then Sanatan Goswami also wrote, and Rupa Goswami has also written Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Sanatan Goswami has written Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So the Goswamis have written so many books. So when we understand, when we read these books, of course, the essence of all these books is also given in Srila Prabhupada's books. So when we read the books by these Goswamis, then we shall be able to understand Radha and Krishna. So Updeshamrita, by by understanding, by applying the instructions of Updeshamrita, then we will become we'll be able to move closer to Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna will manifest in our consciousness. So Krishna is conquered by the love of his devotees. But we all have love of Krishna in our heart, but it is covered. So how to uncover that love is that his nectar of instruction tells us how we can uncover that love that we already have with us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those who are new, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is Krishna himself in the mood of Radharani. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with the gopis. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. What are the three internal reasons why Lord Chaitanya came? Why did he come? Why did Lord Chaitanya come? There are external reasons and there are internal reasons. So what are the internal reasons for why Lord Chaitanya came? Who would like to share something? Any one reason?
So he came as a devotee, right? Okay.
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a devotee, but what
To experience what Radharani is.
Hmm. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, it is described, Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva. What is the glory of Srimati Radharani's love? Because Krishna does not know how much Radharani loves him. So he wants to know to what extent Radharani loves him. That is one reason. Then second reason is Swadyo Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrishova Madiya. What are the sweet qualities in Krishna that attracts Radharani? So Krishna wants to know what is the sweetness in me that is attracting Radharani. And the third reason is what is the happiness that Sokhyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobhat. What is the happiness that Radharani feels when she experiences Krishna's love? So, to understand this, Lord Chaitanya came in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam. He took the bhav of Radharani. Just like if I want to know what a beggar is feeling, right? If a beggar is hungry and I am already full in my stomach, I will not know what the beggar is feeling if they have not eaten for 2 days or something like that. So if I starve myself for 2 days, then I will know the pain of hunger. So I have to put myself in somebody's shoes to feel what they are feeling. This is called the principle of empathy. Like the example is given that if a bee is sitting on a lotus, the who knows the sweetness of the lotus? Does the lotus know its sweetness?
No, bees.
The bee knows the sweetness of the lotus. So if the lotus wants to know its sweetness, then it has to become the bee. Similarly, Krishna has become Radharani in the sense that he has Radha Bhav, he has taken the mood of Radharani, and he has also, because to be in that mood, he should feel like Radharani. So he became also golden in complexion. Radha Bhava Dyuti. Dyuti means the complexion. So he also is golden in complexion. Krishna normally is what color?
Black.
Blue.
Bluish
Blue.
black.
Uh, yeah,
Bluish.
like a monsoon cloud, it is described. His color is blue. So if he came in a monsoon cloud complexion and if he looked at himself, then he would think, oh, I am Krishna. But to be in the mood of Radharani, he also changed his complexion. And he came in the golden form because Radharani's form is golden. And Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. So this is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are the three reasons. The first reason is that he wants to see how great is Radharani's love. The second reason is what are the sweet qualities in Krishna that Radharani is tasting. Krishna wants to know his own sweetness. And then what is the happiness that Radharani feels when Krishna loves her? So, with all these three internal reasons, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the mood of Radharani. Krishna came in the mood of Radharani. And not only did he want to taste this, but he also wanted to share this love of Radharani with others through the chanting of the holy name and like that. He wanted to experience and he also wanted to give this taste of Vraj Bhakti to all the conditioned souls like us. So, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with the gopis. So there are 5 rasas, and we say Madhurya ras. There is, you can serve the Lord in neutrality, you can serve the Lord in servitude, you can serve the Lord in friendship, you can serve the Lord in parental relationship, and you can serve the Lord in uh, conjugal relationship, means
Madhurya.
in a lover beloved relationship. So of all the rasas, the highest is the exchange of love of Krishna with it is the most intense form of love, that is of the gopis. Gopis are the female companions, associates of Lord Krishna. Now, it doesn't mean that others are lesser. They are there, as Yashoda also has love for Krishna, and she is satisfied loving Krishna as a child. There are friends of Krishna who also love him very much, and they are satisfied in that relationship. That is Sakhyaras. So they are all very happy in their relationship. They don't want to change. But considering the intensity of love, the gopis' love is the highest. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis. So, if you want to understand Lord Chaitanya and his love, then we have to understand the books written by the 6 Goswamis and their life also. We'll discuss about the life of all the 6 Goswamis later on. So Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis, and to guide our activities, he gave us the Updeshamrita, the nectar of instruction to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Shikshashtaka, Rupa Goswami gave us Updeshamrita so that we may become pure Vaishnavas. So ultimately, the goal of life is to become a pure devotee of the Lord. Because ultimately, the goal of life is to enjoy, right? Prabhupada was once asked, what is the goal of life? Prabhupada says, the goal of life is to enjoy. But there is, so we enjoy, there is one enjoyment that comes from our mind and our senses, right? The body and the mind. And there is another enjoyment that comes from, it's called spiritual enjoyment. So if we become pure devotees, the pure we become in our heart, the more we will be able to experience this spiritual happiness. And as we taste more and more spiritual happiness, then we will find out how other happiness uh, is not up to the level. We will feel that spiritual happiness is of a different category and a different variety. And we will feel the difference between the two different happiness, because material happiness we have already experienced. Everybody experiences material happiness. Material happiness means the happiness that comes from the body and mind. So like if we eat nice food, or if we if we see nice things, if we touch nice things, or if we hear music, then we get some happiness. That is one happiness. But there is another kind of happiness which comes in relation with devotional service of Krishna. And if we become pure, to experience that happiness is what this nectar of instruction, this book is telling us, how we can become pure Vaishnavas. Because if we become pure in our consciousness, then we'll be able to experience that spiritual happiness that the gopis are experiencing, that all the associates of Krishna are experiencing. So now we'll come to this section. So anybody has any points or anything you'd like to share?
So, Prabhu, one thing that
Hmm.
all 3 regions look similar. The internal region you mentioned, right? Mahaprabhu, why the Mahaprabhu came.
Hmm.
Krishna came as a Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, basically it is that is how it is described in a verse. Let me show you the verse in Adi Leela. But yeah, you're right. In one sense, it is kind of overlapping. What is God glory? What is the greatness of Radharani's love? Hmm. So let's see.
So, Prabhuji, I think in that verse that you are referring, the three reason, the first reason is in that what is attract in Krishna, that by which Radharani is attracted.
Yeah, that I mentioned. What is the sweetness of Krishna that attracts?
Yeah.
And then what is the love that, what is the
Yeah,
happiness?
nature of
What is the happiness that Radharani feels when she experiences Krishna's love? So Krishna wants to know his own sweetness. Yeah, that is one reason. He wants to know what is there in me. He wants to know his own qualities, which Radharani is experiencing. So this is the verse. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Svadyo Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya Saukhyam Chasya Madanubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobha Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachigarbha Sindhu Harindu. This is Adi Lila 1.6. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him, in Krishna, that she alone relishes through her love. So, what are the qualities in Krishna? Krishna wants to know what are qualities in me that Radharani is relishing, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. When Krishna loves Radharani, what kind of happiness she feels? How deep is Radharani's love? The Supreme Lord, Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachidevi as the moon appeared from the ocean. So, yeah, basically Krishna is putting himself in Radharani's shoes. Basically, he wants to take so that's the other verse that Radha and Krishna are two, like Krishna and Radha are one, but they have separated into two for the purpose of loving pastimes. Now they have again combined as one. So Radha and Krishna have combined as one in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but because he has the heart of Radharani, so we say he's Radha and Krishna combined. So Radha and Krishna, because he has the mood of Radharani. So they combined, Krishna took on the mood of Radharani. Okay, yeah. So one other, so it is kind of overlapping, but what is Krishna's, that quality is there? What is Krishna's sweetness that Radharani wants to taste? Yeah, go ahead. Anything else anybody like to say on this, what we read so far?
So another thing, Prabhu, that
Hmm.
so you said that Rupa Goswami is leader. I mean, I understand. We say Rupanuga, right?
Yeah,
But Sanatana Goswami was elder brother of Rupa Goswami, right? And then we see some instances where Rupa Goswami goes and take advice from Sanatana Goswami, and
yes. Yeah, he considered Sanatana Goswami as his spiritual master.
right.
That is true, but the way Srila Prabhupada describes is that Rupa Goswami understood. Of course, Sanatana Goswami, they are all very exalted. They are all Manjaris from the spiritual world. But in the Manjaris also, Rupa Manjari is the head of all the Manjaris in the spiritual world also. So in this Leela, in Chaitanya Leela, although Rupa Goswami is younger to Sanatana Goswami and he's taking guidance and sometimes he's asking, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Rupa Goswami has understood my heart perfectly. Now, it's not to say that Sanatana Goswami doesn't, I'm not saying that, but that is how it is described, that Rupa Goswami is the leader, Prabhupada says, leader of all the Goswamis. Even though the Sanatana Goswami was considered like as the spiritual master of Rupa Goswami. I mean, they all studied under Sanatana Goswami was also instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami was also they are all the direct disciples. As Prabhupada says, they are all direct disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because they were all instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we will come to that. Let me do some more thing. What you are asking is if Sanatana Goswami is considered like the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, then why Rupa Goswami is the leader? So one I quoted, right? Mahaprabhu said that Chaitanya uh, Mahaprabhu said that he knows my mind. And we have this prayer also, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Sopadantikam. When will Rupa Goswami, who actually understands the mind of and the desire of Lord Chaitanya, will give me shelter under his lotus feet? This is that verse. So we are called as Rupanugas. We are not called as Sanatanugas, but of course they are all pure devotees. Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami. So okay, so if I find something more why Rupa Goswami is considered the leader of all the Goswamis, then we will discuss it next time. I'll keep that in my mind. Okay, so the next paragraph. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. This is very important, these two statements. And it applies to me, everybody. So if you want to make spiritual progress through any system, whether you through yoga process or through bhakti process, or through any system, if you want to make spiritual advancement, we have to control our mind and senses. The Prabhupada says, without controlling the mind and senses, we cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. So, how do we control our mind and senses?
Engaging in Krishna service, chanting.
Yes. So, we know an idle brain is devil's workshop, right? So, if we keep our mind unoccupied, unengaged, then it will give us all kinds of, unless we are very purified in heart, then mind will give positive thoughts. But generally, mind is considered in the conditioned state our greatest enemy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says. So sometimes we are doing the spiritual practices, but because our mind and senses are not fully controlled, and we do things also which are detrimental to spiritual advancement, so we don't get the full effect of our spiritual practice. Like, for instance, I'm trying to light a fire, but at the same time, I'm also pouring a little bit of water. Then the lighting of fire will not be so effective. So that is what happens. Uh, so it is very difficult. We cannot move forward in our spiritual life if we don't control our mind and senses. Now, another way we say is we can control the mind and senses only by engaging mind and senses in devotional service. So, but we may not have so much taste in devotional service to engage the mind and senses constantly in devotional service. Like we know, chanting 16 rounds is also like a big task for us. We have to do it like, so difficult. But we make an effort. We make an effort. Like every day, 2 hours we are practicing, 2.5 hours we are practicing to control the mind. So if you practice every day something for 2 hours, then you are supposed to become good at it, right? Because we are now, after as days go by, as weeks go by, as months go by, then we will become more and more adept at controlling the mind and senses. So the mind and senses are very difficult to control because they're conditioned in a wrong way. I was hearing a lecture by Keshav Maharaj. He was saying, there are so many temptations, and if you want to control, so he says you have to remember four things. Cost of temptation. The cost of temptation, COST. So C stands for, if you want to, first of all, what will be the cost of temptation? If I engage in this temptation myself, then you can play it out in your mind. What will be the result of engaging in this temptation? So that way also you can say, like Mahatma Prabhu was there recently, was saying, you can mentally play it out in your mind, right? If I do like this, then what is going to be the outcome? And then you can refrain from doing that, because this outcome is not going to be very good. So C means conviction. We have to be convinced, right? And how we get conviction? When our intelligence is convinced, when we associate with those who are very convinced, when we are convinced that this human form of life is meant to develop a relationship with God, with Krishna. They are meant to go back to the spiritual world. This is why we have been given this human. When we are more and more convinced about spiritual world, we have that conviction in our heart. Like even people who want to do business or they want to do something um, very materially, very they want to become an Olympic, they want to get the Olympic gold medal. They are very determined, they are convinced, they have this great conviction in their heart that I will become a Olympic gold medalist. Then they will uh, they will do so many things. They will be working very hard at it. So first we have to be convinced, means we have to be very determined to understand who we are, why am I here. There are three things: sambandha, abhideya, and prayojan. So the more we understand who we are as spirit soul, what is the nature of this material world, what is my situation in this material world, the more we have this understanding. That's why Prabhupada's lectures are mostly centered around how you are the soul, you are not this body. And he's telling us the nature of this material world, how it is very troublesome, this material world. And then he's describing the spiritual world, where we actually came from, where we actually belong. So then when we are convinced about this, then we will be wanting to, do something. Like we want to do something about it, something about our life, how our life should progress. So first C is conviction. Then O means openness. So if we have some problems, we should be open. Open means we want to discuss it with somebody. We want to get guidance from somebody. Not we cannot discuss it with everybody, but this will come up in the later verses of Updeshamrita. How we should have somebody whom we trust, who is our well-wisher, who is more spiritually advanced than us, and with whom we can open our heart, we can open our mind and reveal to them our problems. Like if I go to a doctor, but if I don't tell the doctor what disease I have, then the doctor cannot do anything, right? Whether I have pain in the foot or I have pain in the back, or what is going on. Yeah, first you go and you tell the doctor, this is what I am experiencing, this is what I have. So first we have to, of course, recognize the problem. And then when we go to the doctor, we take guidance and we take the medicine and then we apply the medicine. So we have to be open to discussing with at least somebody, some devotee whom we can reveal. So first we have to be convinced about making spiritual progress. Then we have to be open. Openly means with somebody whom you trust, you can discuss your problems. Then S stands for safety. We should avoid those. If I am a drunkard and if I have drunk so much alcohol, I want to avoid situations where I don't want to hang out with my friends who are also drinking, because then in their association, or I don't want to go to a pub or be near a pub, right? So sometimes they say if you have some addiction, then you want to put those things far away. Like if you are addiction, like sometimes when we chant, then we look at our phone. So we don't want to put phone in the vicinity, right? Because then it is very easily accessible. And then we tend to, like take the phone and then chant. So we want to be away from that which is affecting us negatively. So we have to be in a safe situation. So the safe situation means you want to be with devotees like that. And then T means ultimately you want to get taste, the higher taste. By practicing bhakti, what happens is when we get higher taste, then automatically the lower taste and the lower temptations will go away. Like we say, for instance, if you go to the temple and somebody, Ram Prakash Prabhu, has made nice hot sabji, and there is also a sabji that is kept in the freezer, 6 months it is there, and they also bring it out and they put it on the table. naturally you will not even look at that 6-month-old sabji, right? Of course, we have frozen food and things like that, which is not good for health. But something that is frozen and kept and that's heated, and there is something that is freshly prepared. You don't even want, it's a no-brainer, right? You don't even want to look at that 1-year-old or 6-month-old sabji that is put in the sabji means a vegetable preparation, and you naturally gravitate towards the fresh thing. So similarly, when we get higher taste, like many of us may have been eating meat before we came to Krishna consciousness, but now that we got the taste of prasadam, then we don't even feel like looking at the meat. It's so bad. So that's how our taste changes. So conviction, openness, safety, and taste, higher taste. So by this, actually, we can overcome our lower nature. Because in everybody, there is a bad dog that is barking and there is a good dog that is barking. So we all the mind, all the time, our mind is like a chatterbox, giving us so many desires. So we have to starve those desires which are not favorable for bhakti, which are not. So first we should know what is favorable, what is not favorable for bhakti. So that will all come in this book. What is favorable, what is not favorable. And if it is not favorable, uh, we want to trash it. But that also is not so easy to trash, because sometimes we know things are not favorable, but we cannot give it up because we are conditioned in a certain way. So that requires practice, like an alcoholic who has drunk alcohol for a long time. He knows it's bad for him, but he can't give it up. So he needs some help. So that's where we discuss our problems with some superiors. Uh, we want to be in a safe situation. We read, we get convinced about the ill effects of drinking, you know. And then when we get some better thing, then we can give up. So we have to control our mind and senses. So at every moment is a choice. So mind is very tricky, and it can make us fall down in a moment. So we have to be very careful with this mind and not allow it to do whatever it likes. It's like a wild animal. So unless the wild animal is tamed, you cannot trust the wild animal. So because it can attack at any time. So we have to tame this mind, and the taming is through spiritual practices. Like, we are going against our mind. When we are chanting, our mind may be screaming, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this chanting. But we say no. We chant louder than the mind, right? We say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Prabhupada says this sound will conquer the mind. If we hear the sound, sometimes he would say, where is the question of mind? You chant with the tongue and you hear with your ears. Where is the question of mind? So we have to control the mind and senses. Without that, we cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Although we are doing spiritual practices, but our boat will not move forward if the anchor is not removed. Right? If the anchor is there, the boat is not going anywhere. You may be rowing and rowing. So we have to control the mind and senses. So everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Gun, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. And then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. So we should rise from the lower modes like Rajogun, Tamogun, Rajogun, and come to Sattva Gun, goodness. And then in Sattva Gun, we can absorb this knowledge and we can internalize this knowledge. We can act on this knowledge. So that's why we should come to Sattva Gun. And we come to Sattva Gun in the Bhagavatam, it is described how we come to Sattva Gun is by engaging in devotional service. It all starts with hearing about Krishna. So every day, if we hear Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita, like that, do devotional service, then slowly and gradually our consciousness will be raised. And we should also hear in the right consciousness. That's another thing. Whenever we do devotional service, we don't do it as a ritual just to get my rounds done, just to get over it. That's why I said this Bhakti Shastri is not just to get a degree. We are not just doing this to get a degree, but to actually become purified at heart. That is why we are doing this Bhakti Shastri. Of course, to get a degree is a byproduct, but ultimately is to how to become pure at heart, become a pure Vaishnava. So, so we can make further progress, and then when our mind is in Sattva Gun, when we are in Sattva Gun, we can discern very easily. Because if we are always, attracted to bodily enjoyment, then we will not be able to think of Krishna. Will not be able to think of Krishna. Our mind is preoccupied with so many things, we cannot think of Krishna. So we practice. So then, in the last, and we'll end with this. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. Like we sometimes say, he has an attitude, right? We say he has an attitude. What does that mean? Generally, it's negative. He has an attitude. Means he thinks too, like he's too proud, right? He's too proud. He has an attitude. We say he's an attitude. Or, yeah. So, with what way we approach Krishna, that's how Krishna reciprocates with us. In what mood we approach Krishna. If we just want to get things done as a work, then we will get our rounds done, but we will not get love of Krishna. If we just want to get through our rounds, right? We chant 16 rounds or like that. So if we just want to get through our rounds, then yeah, we may get through our rounds. But the attitude behind, why am I chanting? Why am I doing? That's the attitude. Attitude means the motivation. So that is very important in Krishna consciousness. Are we doing it for name and fame? Are we doing it for some other ulterior reason? And if we are doing it, then we have to correct ourselves. So whatever advancement we make, it depends on the attitude of the follower. And what should be our attitude? That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives in the Sikshashtakam. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. We should have a humble attitude. If you want to make spiritual advancement, then we should have a humble attitude. Because just as current flows from a high potential to low potential, similarly, mercy flows when we think ourselves as when we need mercy. When we think ourselves as fallen, then the mercy will come. If we think we are proud, if we think, yes, I know everything, and we have big false ego, then we cannot make spiritual progress. We can do spiritual activities, but it will not result in spiritual advancement if we don't have the right attitude. Like we may work very hard, we may go to Mangala Aarti, we may chant Hare Krishna, we may attend Bhagavatam. But if internal attitude is not correct, then we may not be able to make that much spiritual advancement. That will also be talked about in one of the verses, Niyama Agraha. That verse will come. So a follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. So that means all of us should have complete control over our Go means the senses, and Swami means the master. We should be the master of our mind and the senses. Goswami means who has controlled his senses. So I am certainly not there, but that is the goal where we want. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. And can you imagine if you have full control over your mind and the senses? You tell the mind and the mind will act. Not that the mind tells me and I do what the mind does. No, you know what is good for you coming from Krishna and the devotees. And then I will do what is good for me. I will tell the mind, no, you have to do this. So then how much spiritual progress if I can make if I master the mind and senses? Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which director of each temple is known. So they have in India, we have the last name as Goswami. But real Goswami is one who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. So in the Bhagavatam, it is said the Lord is conquered by the love of those who have conquered their senses. The Lord is conquered by the love of those who have conquered their senses. So, because then we can focus on Krishna. Go means the senses and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. But how to control the senses and mind? To become the master of the mind, we have to become a servant of Krishna. And to become a servant of Krishna, we have to become the master of the mind. So it's like a catch-22 situation, right? To become servant of Krishna, we have to be Goswami, as Prabhupada is saying here. If you want to become a perfect devotee of Krishna, you have to become a Goswami. But to become a Goswami, you have to be servant of Krishna because you have to engage your senses in Krishna's service. So first of all, we engage in Krishna's service and then we can become Goswami. Go means the senses and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Updeshamrita. So Prabhupada is saying, if you want to achieve and become a Goswami first and then become a pure devotee. To do that, you should follow the instructions given in Updeshamrita, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, but Updeshamrita constitutes the first instruction for neophyte devotees. So we should think we are neophytes, at least I am. So this is the first instruction if you want to make spiritual advancement. This Updeshamrita tells us how to. One should follow these instructions very strictly. Then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna. So it will become easy. Like if we are on the road and if we follow the traffic rules, then although there may still be hazards, but if we follow the traffic rules, then we will navigate through traffic very easily. So these are the instructions on how we should conduct our spiritual life, how to make spiritual. So if we follow them, then it will become easier and our life will become successful. So this is so Prabhupada is saying Hare Krishna, and this is Prabhupada completed this in Krishna Balram Mandir in Raman Reti, Vrindavan. Okay, so this is the preface. So it's 1 hour since we started. So we'll stop there, but we'll see if you have any comments and discussion we can do. And then we'll take the next verse. Hope it was okay. I don't know if it made sense. But anybody like to say anything? So what?
Bro, it was great to know the basics. So I think that was really great. Thank you.
So what are some of the ways which you would employ to control your mind and senses? First of all, is your mind and senses always under your control? If not, what would you practically do to control your mind and senses? Now you may say chanting the holy name, I will chant the holy, but you can't, yeah, are you going to chant all the time to control your mind and senses? How will we control our mind and senses?
Srila Prabhupada gives that, like, you have to control the mind, so you have to control the eating, meeting, and defending. Or so these are all impacting the mind, right? That how because if you're just overeating, then you indulge oneself and like become a lazy person and not doing things not properly, if not a disciplined person, because there's so many ways to control the mind, right? That one has to be really disciplined, one has to not hearing what, like, even you cannot do that whatever our senses demands is, right? So one has to control that. Even in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna has says that one has to not overeating and under eating. So yeah, that's one way. Other thing that one can all the time we cannot chant, but we can engage ourselves in the other services which we like. So if you like let's say someone likes cooking, then one can cook for Krishna. One can serve the deities. One can like cleaning and everything. These are the services one can do. Other than one can hear, because everything starts from hearing. So if we hear Krishna Katha, then yeah, and then contemplate on these things. So that's how one can, these are the few ways one can engage the mind. And of course, we cannot engage our mind hearing other than Krishna Katha, that Because if you contemplate on this gonna pollute our intelligence. So
Thank
these are few thoughts.
Prabhu, I think that if you make ourselves more associated with the devotees, then our mind will be in the right direction rather than going to the people who have different motives. Then it's kind of go on the other way. If we associated with the devotees more, then mind also go in the same direction.
Yes. Association and ignoring those desires that are not favorable. Of course, this is all there, and ultimately, it's deep down our desire to become Krishna conscious, to make our life successful. How intense is our desire? Because our life is very short in Kali Yuga, and time is also not very long. So how much, yeah, so that intensity of our desire, as I was saying, conviction is very important. And so all this, every time we read, every time we discuss, it is meant to increase our conviction that what is my purpose of human life? Why am I here? And I want to achieve the service of the Supreme Lord. I want to establish my relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that should be the underlying, yeah. That should motivate us to do so many things. Yeah. So practice, as Krishna says, to control the mind and senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Chanchalam himana Krishna. Arjuna is telling, I cannot control. It is very Chanchalam himana Krishna, Pramathi balavadridam, Tasyaham nigraham manye, Vayurivas dushkaram. This is very difficult to control. It's more difficult than controlling the wind. And then what Krishna says, Asanshayam Mahabaho. Undoubtedly, oh mighty armed Arjun, you have very mighty biceps, you're very strong, but you have to also become strong in controlling your mind. Undoubtedly. That's why he says you are Mahabaho. Asanshayam Mahabaho, Manodurnigraham Chalam. Abhyasena tu Kantya Vairagyena Chakriyate. So he says you have to practice that is favorable and develop Vairagya, detachment from those things that are not favorable. So then we will be able to control our mind and senses, and our practices are this chanting Hare Krishna and like that. And that will also come in the, I don't want to go ahead, but when the verses will come, the first verses will say, second and third verse, what is like that enough? Should we detach from, what should we be attached to? Like that. So, okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll call it a day and stop here. Anything else anybody like to say? Any other comments? Madan Mohini, or she's there or not, I don't know.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I'm here listening.
You want to say anything?
No, very nice class, very informative.
And then who else is there? Manish Goyal.
Yeah, it was very good, Prabhu. Thank you.
No, like you have any comments, not any comments or any suggestions or anything.
No, Prabhu, no comment.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Akash is there, yes.
One small thing that I like to keep doing is keep reminding myself that everything that I do and every ability, every conversation that I have is a blessing of Krishna. I mean, he gives us intelligence to act in certain situations, certain way, right? So everything, like I
Lost you.
conversation with somebody went good or bad.
His voice is breaking.
I do. I'm sorry, I'm having internet issues. Is it audible now?
Yeah, it's audible. Yeah. Can speak more, then we'll know more.
So yeah, I like to keep reminding myself that every thing that I do is a blessing of Krishna, and He's the one giving me the ability to do it. Even if I serve others, even if I do good at my job or have conversation with people, I try to keep reminding myself of this fact that He's the one like doing everything and giving me the ability to do things.
Yeah, Krishna says, Buddhi Buddhi Matam Asmi. I am the intelligence of the intelligent.
Right.
And especially he says in 10.10 Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamo. He says, Krishna is Chaitya Guru in the heart. So he will give the inspiration and the intelligence from within the buddhi. If we are engaged in his service, then Krishna will give us the intelligence.
Right.
So Guru, Sadhu and Shastra is our praman. Whether what we are doing, it should be in line with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And if we are doing that, then Krishna in our heart will give us the intelligence to progress on this path. So that's why Shastra is there. Ultimately, Shastra is the Guru, because the Guru has to speak according to Shastra. So Bhagavad Gita, all these books, Updeshamrita, they are like our reference point. So then if we do our activities, consulting this and under the guidance of the gurus, then we will make spiritual progress. And we also need, because we are also not completely pure, speaking for myself, so we also do activities and we want to get rid of those activities. So we need, as I was saying, we need some guidance on how to overcome our material desires and how to become pure at heart. So that is where the spiritual masters, they come in, right? The Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, like that. So we take guidance and then we make progress on the spiritual path. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you, Akash Prabhu, for your comments. Anything else anyone would like to say? Who's the iPhone guest? I don't know who's the iPhone guest. The name is not there. BKDD. Who is BKDD? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Rajshekhar Prabhu.
Rajshekhar.
Komal Mataji's husband. From North Carolina. Komal.
Oh.
Yeah, we are in car. We both are listening, Prabhu.
Do I know you? I don't know you. You're from North Carolina. Aditya Narayan give you the contact.
Yes, we met, Prabhu. You can see me. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We-
Raj. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Raj, yes. Komal and
yeah, we are on speaker, so we are listening in.
Okay, so I don't want to drag it on too much. So we'll stop here. It's already past 11. Thank you very much. We'll do limited to 1 hour and then maybe some discussion after that. So we'll take it. There are 11 verses. So we'll go through the purports and like maybe 11 sessions, we may finish the nectar of instruction. So in about two sessions per week. So 11 sessions means about month and a half, we'll be able to finish. Okay, then we'll have exam and all this. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Recording.
Hare Krishna.
So recording.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. We recorded it.
Recorded. Okay.
Hare Krishna.